How's it going, everybody? I'm going to try to film this video here today. It's raining the second I want to try to start this video. It starts to rain. I have the gain down real low. It's coming down pretty good. They need to board it down here, and it's poured like 4 times since I've gotten here. It's actually a little distracting to hear. There's Boris. Now he's crying. This is Natasha's brother. You probably saw him in videos back from Massapequa. But anyway, these are my thoughts and kind of review on the Obi Wan Kenobi show. I did review the first 2 episodes. Didn't review any other ones. There will be spoilers here, obviously. But overall, I really liked it, honestly. I thought it was fun. Solid acting. Plenty of things you could nitpick if you wanted to. Some people will go a little far with their nitpicking, but some of the things in here, of course, I could understand. But the show is Obi-Wan and what's going on between the years after Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. So Obi-Wan's like working at some meat packing thing. I don't know what he's doing. He lives in a cave at this point. He doesn't have his house. But like I said, I talked about the first 2 episodes, and they introduced Reva. She's an Inquisitor. There's the Grand Inquisitor, some other guys, the 5th brother, other woman. Reva's the 3rd sister. Obviously, Vader's here. Leia pops up. Leia's actually a main character. Luke's in it briefly. Owen and Beru are there a bit. It was cool, Obi-Wan needs to help rescue Leia from Bail Organa contacts him. So it's like his adventure. He meets Vader. Vader meets up with him once, and Vader kicks his ass because Obi-Wan's like useless at this point. He hasn't practiced the Force in 10 years. So he's got to like regain his abilities, kind of. The last episode was amazing. They were able to kind of close up some of the holes with the plot points. I said the nitpicking, but the plot points that kind of are weird. Like, oh, he knows Leia now and shit. Like, that was not really a thing in A New Hope. She acted like she knew who he was, but he didn't know. When R2 plays the thing, she's like, Obi-Wan, you fought for my father, obviously Bail Organa. But they kind of closed that up by him saying, listen, we can't talk about any of this because people might, find stuff out and shit, which actually makes sense. And I said that to my friend. I'm like, they could just be like, you know what, we can't mention this shit because then if someone finds out, this shit's going to happen again. He meets up with Vader twice, which they did a good job with that too, actually. There's a part in the 5th episode where they have the flashback to the him and Obi-Wan sparring. He's Anakin again at this point. People were pissed they didn't de-age him. Honestly, I didn't care that they didn't. I'd rather them not have. I think they might have used a little makeup or something, but he looked older, but he looked fine. I didn't care. It was cool to see them in their old garb and stuff. And they both sounded exactly how they should, and they really were like, But that's actually Vader's thought right there. That's him remembering back to Obi-Wan telling him, if your obsession or your need for victory and blinds him and stuff. Because they have Obi-Wan cornered and these other, they're not really rebels at this point. I guess they are. Actually, I'm sorry. But they have them cornered. It's like a secret network they're finding and stuff. The Empire's finding. And Obi-Wan tricks him because one transport goes off and it's actually really sick. Vader pulls the fucking thing down with the Force. Similar to fucking Star Killer pulled down a fucking Star Destroyer in Force Unleashed. I love how the Force powers are infinite now at this point. In the original trilogy, they did some things here and there. Afterwards, explodes. They're pulling shit out of space and shit. He's crying now. Psst. He's annoying as his sister with the crying. Psst. Come here. And he rips off just rips the ship apart, and they're not in there. All of a sudden, the second one takes off real quick, and Obi-Wan fooled him because Obi-Wan knows. Obi-Wan knows Anakin's got, skills. He's the man, he's the shit. But Obi-Wan knows how to take advantage of your fucking weaknesses, and he does, and that's why he beats him in the sparring session. And Vader remembers, there's a great scene actually during that sparring session where Obi-Wan gives him a little lecture, and Anakin has this look on his face like, fuck, man, this guy, he fucking shit, he's pissed, but he's also like, fuck, he's right, kind of. And there's a part, and you don't see it because he's in the Vader suit, obviously. After the second, he fools him with the second transport ship. He's just staring, and in my eyes, I'm like, he's got that same look on his face that he had back when they were sparring because he's thinking back. I thought that was really cool. Vader is made to look like a badass in this fucking show, which is nice to see. Like I said, he fucks Obi-Wan up in the first fight and kind of just lets him live. And I was like, yeah, it makes sense because he wants to fight him at full peak. He's not beating who he wants to beat, He's not getting what he wants. He still wants to beat Obi-Wan and show him I'm the best. But he needs Obi-Wan in his full strength. The third sister's doing her shit too. Her backstory was actually kind of cool. A lot of people did not like this character. I thought she was fine. I think I'll get into it in a minute, but I thought she was fine overall. Once again, these are obviously all spoilers. She kills the Grand Inquisitor, but he actually doesn't die because apparently he's in Rebels and he does pop up again. But she's wants to get Obi-Wan. She's the one who orchestrates the kidnapping of Leia. She wants to get Obi-Wan. She wants to get him because she hates Obi-Wan and she hates Vader. She hates Anakin because when she was a youngling, she watched Anakin kill everybody. That's how she knows that he's Vader. And she recalls back to, hiding under a pile of fucking corpses or whatever to not be killed. But she's orchestrating all this to try to finally kill Vader, and Obi-Wan uses that to his advantage. In the 5th episode, he's like, listen, I'll set you up where you can find him. And Vader's like, Obi-Wan was smart to fucking, use you. I was like, yeah, classic Obi-Wan, just doing whatever the fuck he can. Obi-Wan's slick. That was a kind of a cool backstory that they show that she wanted to do that. And then her and Vader fight, and the fight was perfect. She gets her ass fucking kicked. Vader's not even using a lightsaber. He doesn't use his own. But at first, he's just moving like this, dodging her fucking blows, using the Force to stop her. I think he Force kicks her too at one point. Kind of funny. And then he takes her saber and breaks it in half. I guess Inquisitors have Darth Maul type fucking lightsaber. Breaks it in half, throws half of it at her, here you go, jump. And then she gets her ass kicked and he stabs her. She obviously doesn't die because then this is the part that was a little much for me. She goes to get Luke because, the one guy, the fake Jedi, is hanging out with these rebels now, these resistance people. And him and Obi-Wan's like, take care of Leia, I gotta do something. And he loses this little signal thing that Bail Organa's just fucking flat out saying all this shit, Obi-Wan, blah, 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 so she knows to go fucking find Luke. That was kind of annoying. She's still fucked up from the stab. Of course, why didn't he kill her? Who the fuck knows? A lot of people are like, well, Obi-Wan dies from a stab. It's like, you know what? Darth Maul got cut in half and fell down a fucking hole, but they brought him back. Get the fuck out of here with that. I thought he was a great character, and it was cool that he came back, I guess, but he got cut in half and fell down a fucking pit. They bring back whoever the fuck they want back. People can survive this, can deal with that. There goes a plane or something. Probably. But that's why I don't take any of that shit with a grain of salt when it comes to this, because the Emperor returns, Darth Maul gets cut in half and falls down a fucking hole. This happens to this guy, he gets stabbed, he gets this cut off, and they keep coming back. But that Reva part was kind of annoying. She goes to kill Luke and then has to change her heart. And the cool thing about this scene is that Beru and Owen are kind of badass. They ain't fucking around. They kind of hold her off, but then she gets the upper hand and she chases Luke. And then like Luke gets knocked out. Like Luke never knows that she's like a Force user. He thinks there's sand people coming to do raids, whatever the fuck Owen says. And that happens, and then she brings him back because Obi-Wan's now defeated Vader in the other fight, which was a fucking awesome battle. He brings back his old move from episode 1 where he does the behind the back block. Oh my god, this fucking cat. Doesn't matter what state I'm in, the cat's gonna be allowed, you know? Oh my god. This video's gonna probably end up having a fucking bunch of noise, and I'm gonna have to fucking probably refilm this. Hopefully that's not the case. But that fight's sick. Like, this is a fight, actually. Now you actually see Obi-Wan at, like, a fucking peak you don't really ever see him in. Because you always know he's the shit, but you never really get. He's always slick and getting at it, things and stuff, but he fucking... Vader gets the jump on him, and he fucks him up, and he buries him in a bunch of boulders and shit, because he, like, uses his hand on the ground. And then Obi-Wan's, like, he's holding back rocks with the Force, and he's thinking back to his fuck-ups with Anakin, but then he thinks of Luke and Leia, and he gets, like, a rejuvenated, like, fucking, like, oh, this is my purpose, and he fucking busts out, and he just starts kicking the shit out of Vader. It's awesome. He lifts a shit ton of rocks, throws out, fucking jabs him in his little fucking, like, kind of circuit board type thing. He's jabbing him, and then he cuts open his fucking mask, which obviously I know, right? I didn't see, but Ashoka does that too, because, you know, Anakin had an apprentice at some point too. Like, the Clone Wars, to me, while a lot of people love it, and I've only seen some of it, and it's perfectly fine and enjoyable, they just add in whatever they want. Whoever's dealing with a Star Wars thing just adds in shit or changes something. That's what happens when you make something that has a backstory, and you make the thing first, and then you do the backstory. For fuck's sake, Lucas brings in C3. Anakin made C3PO. What the fuck was that? And I love the prequels, but you didn't have to shoehorn R2 and C3PO into Star Wars. But he wanted probably known characters, right? But that's why I don't get too worked up over any of this shit, because there's so many inconsistencies and things in this. I don't bother with it unless someone dies that shouldn't. It doesn't matter. But he fucks him up, and then, because like that happened in their fight, and then this is such a fucking great scene, because it's Hayden Christensen now. I'm going to get into him in a second. Behind the mask, and he's talking in his normal voice, and then you hear the Vader, James Earl Jones voice come in as well. Really well done. And this is where Obi-Wan comes with peace, because he's like, listen, you didn't destroy Anakin, I did. And he's crying. It's a real emotional fucking scene. Obi-Wan's crying and shit. And then he leaves him again because he obviously can't kill him. You know, because he's still... So obviously things like that, you're like, oh, dude, just finish him off this time, but he can't. Because pre-existing shit already exists. And, but that fight was really fucking well done. This sparring session was really well done as well. This other cool character, Atala. And there's this loader droid. I forget what his name was, but he doesn't talk. He's badass, and there's actually an emotional scene where she gets killed, and he's, like, protecting her, and he gets killed as well. There's a lot of shit going on here. I thought it was well done. I don't hold this shit. I don't really hold almost anything too high, because you're going to get let down. I wasn't let down by this, but I'm saying if you're building things up and you want things to be a certain way, it's not going to happen. The Reva character... At first, everybody's like, what the fuck? She's, like, on top of everything. She's got the know. She knows this. She's doing that. But she gets her ass kicked by Vader. Thank God, because I was like, what is she going to be able to, like, hold her own here? That none of those Inquisitors should be able to hold their own against him. And she didn't. And she has her redeeming factor. She's supposed to get a show, so I don't know if it takes place while she's, like, an Inquisitor or after when it's change of heart. I don't know. Do I like them just adding in more and more characters? I don't know. Like, same thing with the Inquisitors. In my mind, when the Inquisitors come into play, Rebels, I don't know. So much fucking, it's like Marvel, there's so much Star Wars shit, but for me, I always took it as Vader hunted down the remaining Jedi and killed them, you know? He was the one who did it, but now the Inquisitors are doing, you know, like, I don't know. Everybody's gonna pick and choose the things they like and don't like, you know, from these things. And that's perfectly fine, obviously, but that's why I can't take it too seriously, because I'm not gonna let myself get upset over things like that. But I liked it overall. I thought it was good. The acting was solid, and good for Hayden Christensen to come back and get to do this part, because that guy ate a lot of shit when the other ones came out, the prequels. Now, even back then, I thought his acting in the Clone Wars was subpar to okay. Some of the fucking dialogue in those movies is terrible, though, so not a lot of blames on him. But I thought he was excellent in Revenge of the Sith. But he ate a lot of shit. But a lot of the younger fans, like I was 20. I think I was 19 when I first saw episode 1, and then my birthday passed, and I saw it the second time I was 21. But I wasn't a kid. And the kids who grew up with it fucking love them, and I enjoy the prequels. The Phantom Menace to me was like my Star Wars too, because I wasn't alive when the first one came out. I was like 1 when Empire Strikes Back came out, and I was like 4 or 4 when Return of the Jedi came out. I saw them, a couple of years later in like the mid to late 80s. I finally watched them all and saw them when I was young. So episode 1 was like the one I saw in the theater, and I loved it. It had its stupid shit. Of course it did. Fucking Star Wars always does. Even the fucking originals. But and it's cool to see the people's love for the prequels, and even Ewan McGregor and stuff. They're like so happy to see these kids that loved it and stuff, because those episode 1 and 2 took a kind of a beating in reviews, kind of meddling reviews, but Revenge of the Sith did review well. But I really enjoy the prequels. I loved Force Awakens. I thought it was really good. I did not see Last Jedi or Rise of Skywalker because I read enough to know I probably wouldn't like it. And I'm not going to bitch about it. I'm just going to not watch it. Like a lot of people were hating on Obi Wan show, but then they're like, I'm done. But then they watch the next episode. It's like, no, you said you were done. Just stop watching it. That's what I do. I don't like it. I'm done with it. Cut yourself off from it. And then once again, it's perfectly okay to not fucking like the show or any of this Star Wars shit. Just be like, I don't like it. This is why I don't like it, and move on. Just don't. When they keep harping on it, it's like it's already filmed and done. Just don't watch it. That's what I do. I didn't bother with Last Jedi, and I probably never will. And The Rise of Skywalker. Really liked Rogue One, and I thought Solo was really good too. And I haven't seen a lot of the shows. I could be like, my canon is only if it's released in the theater does it count as canon. But that would mean the Obi-Wan show is not. But no, overall I did really like it. It was cool to see those characters back and shit, and see Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor back in those roles, even though he's in the suit, I think, some of the time, not the full time, and you see him as Anakin a few times in flashbacks. But it was good for that, and it was good. And of course, you finally get to see Qui-Gon's ghost, Liam Neeson, at the end of this. That was like the last scene, which was cool because it was Obi-Wan finally coming to peace with everything, and now he's moving on, and now he can see his Force ghost, and I thought that was really cool as well. Cool set pieces, pretty good action, and some of the stuff was like the guy's in a snow speeder or whatever, and he's shooting at Reva. The guy Wade, everybody made jokes about, no, Wade's dead, what? But things just like hovering there, like some of it looked a little cheesy, but what are you gonna do? I'm coming from fucking Halo, like that's the thing too, like I love Halo, and that show, I gave it the full chance to watch the whole thing. There was some really cool shit in that. I hope to God season 2 is better, but they shit the bed. They did. What are you gonna do? Hope season 2 is better, and if you see, and I was watching that show and still trying to enjoy it, and I wasn't like, I'm done with it. I'm like, I want to see it through. The Covenant shit was great. And I'm hoping season 2, they're on the fucking ring. Covenant, Marines, Master Chief, Cortana, whatever. Who the fuck knows, though? Sorry, that's my Halo bitching about Halo, but if the first or set two episodes are terrible, I'm done. I'm not gonna bother. But that was a good. I liked Obi-Wan. I thought it was cool. I mean, listen, if you're not gonna like it, that's fine. I had no problem. I could agree with some of the shit people had a problem with. I thought Reva was fine. I think some of it was a little too much. I think it really peaked for her in the 5th episode where she remembers back, and you're going, and she's telling her how, like, oh yeah, I wanted to get to Vader, and Vader takes her fucking handles it real easily. But it's actually cool in the second fight with Obi-Wan. He's using one hand, and then he kind of realizes, oh fuck, this is Obi-Wan, and he pulls down the 2. But the first half of the fight was more Vader taking control of it, and then Obi-Wan it's like fucking sick. But it's cool because it's still, I think it gave him the scars too that you see in Return of the Jedi when he takes his head off, when he blasted the helmet, cut it off. I think those are the scars. He actually got them there when you see them in Return of the Jedi. But they did a good job filling those wanted to kind of be him really dealing with the bullshit and really like almost kind of losing it a little bit, maybe helping people out on Tatooine. But I liked it. I thought it was cool. I'd give it overall an 8 out of 10. I thought it was solid. Some of the episodes were a little weaker than others, absolutely. But when the show hit it great. And there was there's some crap in there I didn't enjoy that much. But I was like, yeah, whatever. He uses the blaster quite a bit too. He takes out some stormtroopers. Stormtrooper gets cut in half and shit. But yeah, that's just some thoughts on Obi-Wan. It was kind of all over the place, but I liked it. It had a lot of cool shit. It had some shit that's kind of fucking dumb, but that's the fucking problem when you make things after other shit's already been done and you're trying to fill it in. And you're adding additional characters that were nowhere, never even mentioned in a hint of anything. But anyway, yeah, thanks for checking this out, and have a good day.